Hey y'all! So we are now in week 4 of full-time RVing. And I just wanted to give a little bit of an update on what's working, what's not, and how it went traveling from Utah all the way to Louisiana. If you're new to the channel, hi, my name is Ash, and I live full-time in my travel trailer with my husband and my 2 cats. First things first, let's talk about the trip so far. In the beginning of June, my husband and I hitched up our camper and we left Utah to travel all the way down to Louisiana. We went through 5 states in total: Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, Texas, and Louisiana to get here. And we took about a week to get here, so we did take our time, but we did have quite a few days where we'd drive 300 miles, about 6 hours or so, and then camp for the night, hitch up in the morning, and do the same thing again. During that travel week, we did have a few casualties in the camper. The highways in New Mexico are very bumpy. So a lot of the organization I had done in the bathroom cabinet basically reorganized itself. And due to the cabinet placement, it's like right next to the toilet. So when you open the cabinet door, the door is over the toilet. So since all these things had reorganized themselves when I opened up the cabinet, quite a few things decided to fall out into the toilet. So that was really fun. Although the cabinet locks that I did use kept the cabinet from opening while traveling, so that's a plus. Another casualty was our ice maker. My husband convinced me to get one of the GE Opal 2.0, I think is what it is, ice makers. And it makes the nugget ice that you get from like Sonic or Cane's, like that really soft ice that's nice to chew. And now that I've bought it and used it for almost a year, I can't go back, for sure. It's so nice to have. But the first campsite we were at, when we went to plug into the shore power, there was something going on. I don't know if it was dirty power, I have no idea. But when we plugged in, the ice maker blew the circuit, and then this terrible burning smell started coming from the ice maker. So my first thought was, I immediately unplugged it again because I didn't want to blow up the camper by accident. And then this smell was coming from it. It fried something internally. So like when I contacted the warranty for it, they told me that there was nothing they could do but replace it. So I'm glad it worked out in the end getting it replaced, but it was really sad that our ice maker died like on our first night, especially in the beginning of June in the Southwest when it's getting like really hot. Another casualty happened somewhere in Texas. We came back into the camper after unhitching at our campsite, and lo and behold, I had forgotten to lock the fridge door, and the fridge emptied itself just everywhere. We had a pitcher of water in there that spilt and cracked, and luckily none of the jars broke, because if I had to clean up broken jars, I would have just checked into a hotel that night. I would have cried. That was a fun one. Our final notable casualty that happened during this week of travel was in New Mexico. So as I mentioned, the highways are very, very bumpy. And in one of our cabinets, our upper cabinet, we have spices and sauces. And I did put a child lock on there, just like I did the other cabinets. And that held very well. The door never opened. But what did open itself was a bottle of sauce. So we came into the camper and there was sauce everywhere. It was everywhere inside of the cabinet. It was all over the counter, all over the dead ice maker, and all over the sink and the stove. So my husband did help me clean that up, and it wasn't hard to clean up, but it was definitely interesting to come into the camper and look around and be like, wow, okay, there's sauce everywhere. But the cabinet did not open. And that is what I will continue to say. That is the positive in this scenario. The cabinet locks I bought work. Besides the issues we experienced during that week of traveling, our first month on the road has been pretty great. It's been nice seeing family again, especially the ones that I haven't seen since we had moved to Utah a couple years ago. And it's really nice seeing the ones that have pools at their house because it's like 100 degrees in Louisiana. Another thing we did in our first month of traveling is we've upgraded our 1,000 Trails membership. So if you're in the RVing community, or even if you do weekend warrior stuff, you might have heard of Thousand Trails. It's basically a camping pass, and they have different locations across the United States, and they partner with other parks as well. So they have their own parks and they have partnered parks. So they do have different tiers, and when we bought our RV at Lazy Days, they gave us the camp pass. So that is the bottom tier pass that you can get. You have to pick a zone. So we picked the southeast because we knew for the summer we'd be, somewhere in that area probably. And that was included with our RV purchase. Over the past week, we have done so much research on Thousand Trails, on the price points, on if it makes sense, on the locations of their campgrounds, everything. And honestly, that research deserves its own video. Ultimately, we decided to upgrade to the Elite Connections Pass. So that's like the middle tier one. It's not the basic pass, it's not as low as the camp pass, and it's not nearly as high as the adventure membership pass, which the adventure costs like $17,000, but it does have some pretty good perks. So that's still something to look into if you are considering anything with Thousand Trails. Don't pass it up just because of the price. It does look scary at first. For our intents and purposes, this middle tier pass ended up being the best for us. But if you're interested in looking into Thousand Trails, I'd highly recommend looking at their website, but it can be a little confusing. So if you check out the description, I am putting the information of the rep that helped me. The rep I was talking to, her name is Irma. I felt like she wasn't just trying to sell me on the top tier pass, like some sales reps might do. As a fellow full-timer, it felt more like she was trying to help me get what was best for me and my traveling needs versus just trying to sell me on that $17,000 adventure pass. But if you're interested in talking to somebody that officially knows all of the information you would want to know, her info is in the description, and she does accept text messages, which I found so much easier than having to call the Thousand Trails 1-800 number. Anyways, so far so good. In our first month. While we're stationary, I'm trying to use the time to reorganize and put things in bins or things with lids so that the falling into the toilet situation doesn't happen again and things don't fly around as much while we move. If you want to follow along to see more of our travels and where we end up next, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And until then, bye!